my name is Janice Johnson Ratliff. I lived in the community on Ballpark, and everybody there was related either by marriage or by blood. So we had our own churches. There were two grocery stores in Elon at the time, and the post office, and it was just, I can't even talk about segregation that much, because other than the schools were segregated and the communities were segregated, because I had a happy life. All my books in school were used books. When I got the books had 2 or 3 names already in them, because the books were being used in the white schools and then transported to our schools. The teacher, I remember one of our teachers saying, the book has the same information no matter whose name is on the front. Came to Elon, everything was within the wall, the brick wall. They were called dorms then, of course. Dorms, the business building was there, the president's office, the vice president's office, all of everything was within the wall. As Elon needed minorities, or they were going to lose their federal funding. So Gail Boone, who was the administrative assistant for Mr. Mitchell, who was the vice president of business and finance at the time, and she called and asked me if I would come for an interview for cooperative education. So I got that job, and I stayed here for 5 years.
And when was this when you got hired?
1981.
Okay.
Everything was segregated. I mean, you know, we didn't, there wasn't a lot of talk about segregation back then. It was just there. And it was almost an accepted fact. This is the way it is. But I had worked in situations where at Burlington City Schools, I was the first and only black secretary. Mrs. O'Kelly was a superintendent. She was black. She was one of the assistant superintendents, but she was black, but she looked white. And so I'd worked at Associated Transport. There were only 2, when I went there were only 2 black people there. So I'd always worked in situations where I was either the only one or just 1 or 2. So I wasn't uncomfortable with it, which makes when you're not uncomfortable, then other people sometimes don't become uncomfortable.
Like when you found out about this building being dedicated to you, how'd you feel?
Breathless. I couldn't even conceive, and that they were going to rename this building in my honor. And I said, "Are you kidding me?" And she said, you know, in her sweet way, she said, No, I'm not kidding. And I said, and how did that happen? And she said, well, just the things that you did for students, the mentorships and the things that you contributed while you were here and those kinds of things. She said, that's how it happened. And I was standing up. And I went in the dining room and sat down. I wish we could be kind to each other. I wish we could respect each other for who we are and not for what we think they are. And I think the world has gotten mean again. Cruel to each other, no respect for each other's feelings. And we're teaching it to our children again. I wear a mask because I want to protect myself, but I want to protect you too. So just everyday kindness and respect for each other.